Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of those top of the Champions League and the Premier League. And Happy New Year to all Gooners and everybody else that is watching the show. We are back in 2026, and I'd like to welcome, beside me as usual, is my podcast brother from another mother. Good morning, Christopher.
Morning, you all right?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm not going to ask you how you are because I know how you are.
Yeah, feeling a little bit ropey, but I'm going to plough through for the benefit of this podcast, but also Arsenal Football Club, because yesterday was fun in the end.
It was fun in the end. Little bit like our game, isn't it? Fun in the end. Welcome back to the Happy New Year.
I'm having some sound problems. Are you?
Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
You can hear me? Is it Amanda?
I can hear
Yes,
Chris.
I can hear you.
And I can hear Amanda.
Mervyn?
I can hear both of you.
Is it me?
Oh, good.
What a great first
All
podcast
right.
of
Well,
the
good
year.
morning, Mervyn.
Yeah,
We're
good
always
morning,
having
good
sound
morning.
issues. Please let me know if it's me because I'll get Chris to take over. Happy New Year, my lovely. Thank you for coming back on the show.
It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. First outing for my Invincibles t-shirt that I was given at Christmas by my son. And now I've worn it for here. I can wear it at the Emirates on Thursday night.
Yeah, you're going to be a bit cold. You might need a jacket or two for what's coming up on Thursday evening weather-wise. I do apologise
if anybody's
as
worried,
someone's just said Amanda is choppy.
If anyone's worried, I'm sitting here freezing in a
No, go on.
t-shirt when it's -3 outside. I do have heating on around me.
Bless you. Well, listen, welcome back, everybody. Happy New Year to everyone in the chat room. We're just going to dive in. We are just going to dive in, but we are going to go back a little bit to Villa. Chris, I think that they should refund us the money for first halves. Because something changes in the second half of our games lately. But just take us through a little bit of your thoughts of the first half, and then we'll get into the second half of Villa.
Well, I think a lot of it played into Villa's hands, really. If you think about the way in which they want to play, if you think about the narrative that has built up around Unai Emery and how he's a tactical genius with his substitutions, and that narrative has been peddled and perpetuated by the players themselves. When they picked up their victory against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, Ollie Watkins talked about how he'd come on as a second half and the manager's a tactical genius and blah, blah, and the changes had helped to really influence the game at Stamford Bridge. And so this narrative has built up for a while. It's not just that game, it's for a few others.
Yeah.
So I suspect that what Villa wanted was a relatively transitional game. I think what they thought Arsenal would try and do, which if they did, it's a bit weird, is probably come at them, because we tend to start games slow anyway. So the first half for me just really played into Villa's hands. We have a lot of the ball, most of the ball. They try to hit us in transitions. They try to hit the central spaces because that's how they want to play. And I think there was a couple of instances. There's one which really springs to mind, which was just a Yuri Tielemans ball through the middle, which actually didn't end up being anything in the end anyway. But it was an example about how they want to play. And I think we just I think it took us a while to suss things out. But what I will say, which is a positive for this Arsenal team, is that they learn, and I think Arteta adapts. He's really good at adapting. I don't want to do a Arteta versus Wenger comparison, but one of the problems I always thought Wenger had was he'd set the team up and that was essentially it. And then it was find a solution. Whereas Arteta very much is, I'm going to set the team out, and we often start off slow in games. It's almost like we shadow box teams to work out what are they doing tactically. And then once we've worked out what they're doing tactically, he makes tweaks and changes and things like that. So I think that's what he was going for. I think that's what Arteta was trying to do, is trying to suss out Villa. And then when it came to the second half, we just pressed our foot down on their neck, which, hey, works out all right in the end.
Well, it was funny because I noticed, Mervyn, that second half, our players came out pretty early and did a huddle in the second half, which I've not seen before. I pointed that out. I said, he's kicked them out early. He's
Yeah.
told them, get out on that pitch and you show the fans and everybody else what you're made of, because boy, what a change. And I just want to go
Yeah.
back to Chris saying, we always did say, didn't we need plan B and C, and we never had that. And now I feel like we've got that because of the tweaks he makes, Chris. So Mervyn, if you want to touch on the points Chris has made and the fact that how we started second half.
Yeah, well, you're right. It was a completely different team on the way out. I must say, I was so pleased. Unfortunately, I was stuck in a carriage with mainly Villa fans on the way to the game on the underground, and they seem to be under the illusion that Unai Emery left us. Not that he was sacked, or he left us. And it was annoying me, but there were a lot of them, and I didn't want to start a row or something. So I was very pleased we stuffed them in the end. But I think that in fact one of the comments there says it. I think the first, the big thing for me that I was concerned about the minute I heard the team was not having Declan Rice.
Oh God,
because
yeah,
those are the kind of games. Oh, sorry, those are the kind of games where he really shows up, and the fact that Onana was and Tielemans were doing so well in that first half. It was almost like, not we were surprised by the way they were playing, but I think we treated them with respect, possibly too much respect at the beginning, because they are the insurgent team into the top four who had won a load of games on the trot, and they clearly are a good side, and they have some good players, and they have some players like Rodgers and Watkins on form. So I think we were possibly a bit too respectful almost in the first half, and not having that extra drive from Declan Rice. But obviously, second half changed. But I think that he knew that he had to shake them up a bit, get them to change, get them to be a lot more on the front foot, and probably getting them out early was a way to get them charged up, to get the crowd charged up. Because I was still coming back to my seat with a coffee, and they're out already.
Yeah, and I think what they're doing at halftime now, I don't know if you two have noticed, but the actual guy on the microphone, I don't know what he's called, I've got brain fog, is telling everyone to get back to their seats. They'll be out in 10 seconds or whatever it is, a minute, just to try and not have so many empty seats when they start, because we really needed to win that. We needed to beat Villa. It needed to be the fact that was, in the end, a statement win. However, what I absolutely loved is that Gabby, Zubi, Tross, and Jesus' goal. I mean, that, Mervyn, I don't know where you were in the ground, but me and Chris sit down that end. I just was like, shoot. And he did. And he would be incredible if he added goals to his game, wouldn't he? He'd have everything, because the tenacity of the guy, and we all want him to do well. And it was just fabulous. But I think we cannot go without leaving the Villa game without mentioning David Raya, Chris. I mean, he didn't make any super saves at Bournemouth yesterday, I noticed, but God almighty, what is he like?
Yeah. I mean, some very, very good saves. The one that really stands out, which I think they put down in that second half as a John McGinn miss, but I actually think it's a fantastic save right in injury time, that he manages to keep that ball out and then flicks it away. But he's showing week in, week out, what a step up we actually made. We've talked about on here I've talked about how I didn't think Ramsdale was that much of a step up. I'll be honest with you though. I think he has been. I think we have to admit that he's been absolutely fantastic. So yeah, absolutely brilliant.
It was interesting, wasn't it? Because I think I mentioned this last week, that JJ had such a go at me when Raya signed Mervyn on the show, and said, you don't know, honestly, he's such a massive step up. And I'm like, but getting a new goalkeeper was not on my bingo card. Everyone else was, every other position. So I was I wasn't like critical, but I was like confused more. We all love Ramsdale. We love the personality. We will always love Ramsdale for the personality side, but he did make some many errors, which most goalkeepers do, except Raya has just come on leaps and bounds and doing super saves. I mean, to the point where you go, that's got to be save of the season. Next match, you're going, oh, actually, that's save of the season. We're not even, we're only halfway through the season.
Yeah, no, I think that he wanted it. I think Arteta wanted him. I think he knew of him, obviously the Spanish connection, and I think that he was tracking him, and I think he knew that that was the goalkeeper he wanted. But Ramsdale was popular. Raya hadn't yet probably had as much top class experience at that point. And so we had that season or two. Well, obviously Martinez originally when Arteta came in, but we won't mention him. So I think that he knew he wanted him, and I think he'd already spotted that he was a great goalkeeper in the making. And yeah, this season is you're right. I mean, almost every game I was away. I missed the Brighton game, but I mean, obviously I've seen it many times since, and it's kind of almost game after game now. There is a outstanding save.
Is it just going back to that? Is that the Brighton game where Rice stormed off down the tunnel? Was it that one, or
No,
was
that
it
was
the
Wolves.
one before? Okay.
It was Wolves, yeah.
And just touching on Rice, and we will carry on talking about Rice through the whole program, the whole podcast. I have all week been so stressed, worried that it went silent on him, that there is something that was untoward. And I remember waking up yesterday morning going, "Is Rice injured?" And people kept saying to me, "No, he's going to be fine. He'll probably be rested today, play against Liverpool." But if we're talking about world-class saves, Chris, with Raya, you have to talk about a world-class midfielder with Declan Rice. He is insane. He is elite. He is everything we've ever wanted and so much more.
Yeah. So yesterday's performance was an absolute stunner. I watched Match of the Day. I'm sure you guys did as well.
Yeah.
And they were just waxing lyrical on them, and also post Sky Sports the coverage as well. They were waxing lyrical about it as well. What I thought was most interesting thing was how they talked about, I think it was Match of the Day, they talked about how he scans. And the last person that I remember particularly thinking they are an excellent scanner was Cesc Fabregas. But before Cesc Fabregas used to get the ball, every time the ball was played to him, you'd see him go, look left, look right, so he knows where he knows what's in his peripherals, and he would be able to pick passes. But Declan Rice does that going forward as well as going back, and that's what they were. I think it was Match of the Day last night that they were picking it out, and that's what I absolutely love about him. He is an all action guy. My family are all West Ham fans on my dad's side, and so my brother is a West Ham fan. And when we were talking about him when we signed him, I remember Steve, my brother, saying, you have got an absolute bargain there. And I thought, it's ridiculous. No midfielder's ever worth 100 million quid. But he has shown, yes, he is worth that, because he does everything. He snuffs out danger. He can take corners. He can take free kicks. He's got the engine to be in different places. Like, there's times where he wins the ball, like at right back or left back, when he's playing in central midfield. And now what he's added to his game as well is, and he showed it. What he needs to do, he probably needs to do this another 4 or 5 times this season before we start to say, oh yes, this is now a thing, is box crashing to finish off and score goals. Because as he pointed out I think it was in the post-match interview last night, I think he's only got 3 Premier League goals this season. So that was 2 yesterday, and then he got the one against West Ham. Someone in the comments, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's just 3 goals this season. And if he's going to be that kind of complete midfielder, you probably need to say he needs 6 to 8 goals in a season in the Premier League. So we're at the halfway stage. If he's got 3 goals already. If he's going to get another 3, 4, 5 goals between now and the end of the season, then you'd probably say he's on track for us to be able to say he's a box crasher that will be able to get us that, vital goals at key important points in the season. And I'll say one more thing just before I finish. Do you remember the COVID era when Arteta just arrived? And I remember us talking about the midfield of Xhaka, Ceballos and one other, and how none of them we were about this point in the season and none of them had scored a single goal. So getting goals from midfield is the important thing that helps you to win titles, especially when you're not getting it from your centre forward, which may or may not be a conversation we want to pick up today.
It's listed in my podcast book, but what I do want to say is, I was going to mention he may have only scored 3 goals, but Barry is saying it's 4. But how many assists has he got? So there we got 4 and 3. I mean, to me. To me, Mervyn, he's just a complete
He's yeah,
midfielder. And for people that don't know, sorry, Mervyn, let me just say, for people that don't
yeah,
know, when he signed, we had his old coach on straight away the next day. And I honestly said to him, "What are we getting for 105 million quid? I mean, come on. He's good. Watched him at West Ham. He was a good player. Wonderful. Would never be in sort of that world class thing in my head. Nice, a good English midfielder. Big, he's going to play for England. We've missed that. And then I remember that Tony Gale's son, saying to all of us, you watch. All he's got to do is add goals to his game, and he is going to be the complete midfield. And we got him on a year later as well, and we could see. And I remember saying to him, I can now see what we're getting for 105 million. He's worth over double that. I
yeah,
mean,
easy, easy.
personality alone, just watching all his interviews last night. I watch a lot on social media, on Instagram. I watch all of it, and he's got the biggest smile. He's the you can just tell he's the nicest guy, and he wants to win. And he's so humble in the way he talks, Mervyn. Honestly, so humble.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, I wanted to sign. I wanted us to sign him. I've seen him obviously on the way through. It's interesting about the thing about is he better than Vieira? Because
Yes,
it's a
absolutely.
conversation I was having with a couple of friends as well. That it's kind of they're very different kind of players, but the impact in midfield is similar because and the fact that I suppose he doesn't have Vieira's physical stature, but playing over here, it's kind of, he's clearly going to be a key player for England in the World Cup. And I think, everybody knows. I saw some West Ham fans back after his 2 goals against Madrid earlier in the year, earlier last year. And they were a bit squabbling about kind of, the way he was celebrating and stuff. And one of them came on and said, look, don't be ridiculous. That's why he went there. He could never achieve anything like that with us. So, it was like, I'll cheer him on because of, everything he did for us, at West Ham. And he was always going to go to another club and challenge for trophies like that. So I think that he is, I mean, he's young still as well. And it's kind of when people who support other teams, shall we say to me, who's your best player at the moment, I just say Rice. It's kind of
Yeah, but
they
what's
expect me
tough?
to say Saka, they expect me to say but I
Yeah.
say Declan Rice because he is the team. And
I
I
was
agree
I
with
was thinking that last night, Mervyn, though,
yeah,
but then I was in my head was going, Gabby, that it would be
well,
tough
yeah,
because in defence, I mean, we'll get on to the fantastic error he made yesterday, but I just want to say what Rude One Star said. He's not on Vieira's levels just yet, only down to time. It's possible, in my opinion. I couldn't agree with that more. He's not yet. And Vieira was just
yeah.
incredible for the people that didn't watch Vieira when he was fit, insane. But I agree, Rude One Star. It's only down to time that we're not saying that at the moment. But just Declan Rice. If
I
I,
agree with it. Can
it's
I just
hard with.
say that
Go on.
I agree with your Carl, that Zuba behind him has made a
Yeah.
big difference this season, I think.
He spoke about Zubamendi, didn't he, Chris, last night? I don't know
Yeah,
if you saw that. He was saying he may not be the strongest or the most powerful, but the brain on him, and he's like, I
yeah,
couldn't do it without him. This is what I mean about being humble. He never makes it about himself. I think he could. I think he could do it without him. However, probably not as good. But
Mm.
Zubamendi is, listen, these players are all down to Arteta and what he did in
yeah,
the summer, bringing Zubamendi in as well, and also the cover of Norgard. But just Rice was incredible. Let's just go on to what I was just saying about Gabriel. And honestly, everybody, this is no word of a lie. 5 minutes before Gabriel did what he did, I sat there and thought, oh God, everyone's lauding Gabriel in the press. I can't stand it. Because he does have these moments of madness. Not so many this season. And honestly, both of you, I haven't said it out loud. I'm sitting there thinking, He has got a fuck up in him. He has. It's just because of the way he is sometimes. But this season, in my head, I'm going, he hasn't really done that, Chris. And honestly, 2 or 3 minutes later, you're sitting there going, what have you just done?
Yeah, there's a few things to pick out of that though. For the first thing is that it happened really early, so you've got time to actually counter it and
Yeah.
to make amends. I think that is a really key thing, because that happens on the 90th minute, and there's problems. But this happened on 10 minutes, and up until even before that, I think Madueke had a good chance and just blazed the ball over. So I got the feeling with this Bournemouth team that we would create chances. So I was watching it at home, and I said out loud, like, "You idiot," but I wasn't mega pissed off, because the way we'd started the game wasn't amazing. And actually, Bournemouth were the better team in that first half, and I thought they created more chances. And yeah, we were off it yesterday, and that was the worst howler. But I saw Zubamendi twice give the ball away. I saw Gabriel give the ball away. I saw Saliba give the ball away. Raya put a ball into, I think it was into Gyökeres, that went right up to the halfway line, like a ground pass that it wasn't a great ground pass. That was happening a lot. And I think Martinelli too, in that first half, there were some real problems. Part of it was the way that Bournemouth were pressing. And so I've seen some people this morning talk about Bournemouth's pressing, but that didn't really have anything to do with that first goal. That was just an absolute howler from a defender that is normally rock solid. And if it happens once a season, you just say it's fine. The amount of, particularly with Gabriel, the amount of times where he's salvaged us points or even won us points, for example, Newcastle in the dying seconds, shows the character of the man. And Arteta referenced it afterwards, what a character he is, that he can then be the one in the right place and score the goal at the within such a short period as well. So Bournemouth were only up ahead by 6 minutes. So we scored on 16 minutes, and that's what you absolutely have to do, because the longer that drags on, the more it becomes a thing. And it didn't become a thing for us, because we were ahead with it. We were level within just a few minutes, and so it almost just becomes a right reset, forget all about it. And I think that's one of the things that you can point to with this whole team as well. And I'll link it into Bournemouth's second goal, because personally we were cruising at 3-1, and this game I thought we're just seeing it out. But when Eli Junior Krupi scored, let's be honest, it was a bit of a worldie of a finish. When he got that, there was about a minute or two afterwards, I think we almost lost the ball from our kickoff within about 30 seconds. And it just felt like we were crumbling a little bit. But after that first minute or two, in which obviously the tails are up and the fans are singing, we kind of shut Bournemouth out and shut them down between minute sort of 78 and like in the 90 plus minutes. So it's the mental fortitude of this team, and Gabriel is a perfect example of that, with the way in which he responded to, which was an absolute shocker of a pass.
There's an intelligence in this team, isn't there? That Arteta has drilled in, that they seem to know when to up the tempo, slow the tempo. It's almost, I don't know if the message comes from whoever's captain on the pitch at the time, whether it's Odegaard or sets the tone, or probably Rice, but they seem to instinctively know what they need to do, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like when they need to up things, when they need to sit back, when they need to, controlling it. Yeah.
So what was really interesting was, normally I'd have like thrown my toys out, I'd have had a whole tantrum about it. But I was like you, Chris, I looked at the clock and I was like, there's 81 minutes to go here. It is what it is. Lucky it wasn't done at the Etihad or somewhere like that. But you do sit there and you feel, okay, I wasn't as negative as I would have been normally. And I just sat there and thought, we've got time. He's banked enough points in his bank account to have an error occasionally like that. And you know what? In a funny way, he may learn from that. That may be the only error he makes, Mervyn. Do you know what I mean? So it's something that maybe a bit, oh, sorry, Chris, maybe a bit more conscious, not to be as lackadaisical. He knew what he'd done. He looked at the sky. It is what it is. They're human. We love Gabby. He gives us so much, just so much. I absolutely adore him. I don't know who I'd want to meet more, him or Rice at the moment. But let's just get on to the goal, Chris, because
Can I just do one more thing though? The only thing I will
sure.
say with that when we went behind is that we've not really in the last 2 years we've not really been a good team at coming from behind. We don't tend to do that very often. Like we did at Newcastle, and obviously we did yesterday. I'm trying to remember another time. Please feel free putting it in the chat where we've come behind, particularly in the Premier League. So I don't think it happens very often. So there was that in the back of my mind. But anyway, carry on.
No, but what also as well, didn't you hear what the pundits were saying, that Arsenal don't come from behind to win. It's generally a draw. So that was a little bit on my head going, okay, well, it's Bournemouth away, it's 80 minutes. But the thing is, we didn't win there last year. So in your head, you're like, but no, if it had done that at 80 minutes, I think we would have all just been like catastrophizing, wouldn't we, Mervyn? But there was so much time left, and the fact that the momentum of winning against Villa will take you on. And Madueke, you have to say, down that right, he was persistent. I actually thought he'd taken it too far.
Yeah, it was a bit. He's that kind of a player. It's interesting. When we signed him, I didn't really know that much about him, and so I messaged a Chelsea friend. Yes, I have friends who support lots of other clubs, and said, why are you letting him go? Why? And he said, I wouldn't want him to go. Quite a few fans wouldn't want him to go, but he's pure profit because he's been there since a kid. So it's for their kind of finances. It's pure profit. Which is why, and he said, some fans, he sometimes does ridiculous things, and fans get angry with him. But there's something about him that he always pulls something out of the bag, and that was the kind of thing yesterday. Because it's thought, well, what's he doing? And it's kind of like, we equalise from it. So it's kind of.
He knew what he was doing, didn't he, Chris?
Yeah.
And the thing is, same as you, Mervyn.
Confidence. Yeah.
Mervyn, my Chelsea friend said the same thing to me, except that he said he's a little bit selfish, and when I'm not that upset he's leaving, I'm a little bit upset he's gone to you, but I'm not that upset. So even he said, Chris, that he's got to learn a lot. But that's what you want a player to do. Take on some players and give it a go. And it was slightly lucky because I think it came off a Bournemouth leg as he put it across. And then it was like a bit of ping pong. And then you couldn't write it, could you, Chris? The one player you would really want to score to redeem, and redemption is done.
Yep. And I believe I could actually write it, because it is the sort of thing that you expect from Big Gabby. And again, I'll cite and reference the Newcastle game, in which it was his mistake with Voltemada's header that put us 1-0 behind. And he was the one that's dragging us out of it, albeit in the 90-plus minutes of injury time. So I feel like if there's one player that would get us back into it, or at least would have an impact at the other end of the game, of the match, of the pitch, it would be Gabriel. And if we think, since he's come back and started, he played the Villa game, scored the first goal, and he's played this game and scored the first goal. So he's a real deadly finisher in the box. I think somebody else said in the chat, Gyökeres, take notes. I do think we should talk a little bit around not just Gyökeres, but the whole team as well, and scoring, because we're at the halfway point in the season, and I look at the goal scorers that we've got, and our top goal scorers are on 5 goals, Gyökeres and Trossard. And I don't know how you two feel about this, but I feel a bit weird about all of this, because we've got a load of goal scorers all on different goals. And so the goals are being spread around. But you can't say that. I mean, most of the times, if you ask somebody at the beginning of a season to win the Premier League, how many goals does your top goal scorer need to have? They probably say 16 to 20 goals. We've not got anyone on course for that at the moment. So that is a concern. Like Gyökeres is on 5, Trossard is on 5. Rice is on 4 from yesterday. Saka's on 4. Eze is on 4. Zubimendi 3. Big Gabby 3. Mikel Marina 3. Timber 2. So then the other side of that, to counter it, and then I'd love to get your views on this, is that then you look at actually the number of goals that we've scored, and we've scored the second most behind Man City. We've scored the second most goals in the league. So part of me is a little bit like, well, if we again get another, we got 40 goals this season. If we get another 40 goals, maybe even up that to 45 goals, we probably are winning the league. And then the final stats that I'm going to give you is I've just looked at Man City. Haaland's got 19, Phil Foden's got 7, but then after that, it's like Reinders on 4, DS on 2, Gvardiol on 2, Cherky on 2. So I don't know. How do you guys feel about the lack of an outstanding goal scorer? Because even Saka's behind on his numbers at the halfway stage compared to last season and the season before.
Mervyn, I'll let you go, then I'll come in.
Okay. I think that somebody like Haaland, if I say is a freak, I don't mean that because he's so tall and everything. I mean, but you occasionally will get a striker that comes along and for 3, 4, 5 seasons, it just kind of smashes all the goal scoring records. That's probably how other fans were feeling about Henry a number of years ago. And there's not a lot we can do about that. He's there. He's not about to leave. And he is a goal scoring machine. And because of that, he's got the physical presence as well. Because of that, they don't need so many secondary scorers. And with us at the moment, you're quite right. It feels that although we've scored 7 goals in the last two games, it feels like it's almost not a struggle, but it's kind of, we're on top, we're creating lots of chances. You don't necessarily know where that goal is coming from. You kind of suspect there's going to be a goal from a set piece at some stage during the game. But we don't have that kind of striker. But then I don't know if the way the team is playing at the moment, if we were to put, a version of Haaland in there, I don't know if it would fit with the way the team is linking and the way the interpassing is going and the way particularly since Odegaard has come back. And I was a bit concerned about him at the beginning of the season, but he seems to have his edge, and he seems to be, making things happen. And I think that it doesn't bother me because the goals, I suppose, are coming from around the team. Obviously, if we go through, if we suddenly have a couple of games where we don't score, then it will be a little bit more concerning, particularly if we're missing chances that a traditional striker would score. But I'm sure, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to talk about Gyökeres on his own at some stage, but
we should probably bring that in now.
Because I'm just going to go into that because quite a few people in the chat room.
Just before you go, Amanda, just one more thing, and I want you to get your thoughts on this, Amanda. Saka as well. Like, it just doesn't feel like he's had his shooting boots on. Last night, there was one instance when he came on where he did that usual. He comes in sort of horizontally by the just on the edge of the penalty box to shape to shoot. And I've seen this in the last few games that he's played, blazes it over. It's almost like he's not quite got his range at the moment.
So just go back to your first point. I couldn't care less who scores if David Raya gets them all. I couldn't care less. I've always felt like that. When we haven't had a 30-goal striker since Henry, right? Maybe since then, but I don't care. I love it that all of the players are scoring. Look at Villa. 4 different players have scored against. It really doesn't matter. We can link into that. That's how I feel. As long as they're scoring, it doesn't matter. You can have Zubimendi getting a hat-trick against Liverpool for Thursday night. I couldn't care less. I don't care if we haven't got a Haaland because at the moment it's working. So we're top of the league. I don't know how many points clear we are. 4, 5. Probably everyone will tell me what, because City plays this afternoon. What I will say is with Gyökeres. Now, I know even the people that have been defending him and saying giving him time are starting to change a little bit. I'm not. And I'll tell you why I'm not, because you should see the other work he is doing. Now, if we are top of the league and we are scoring goals and our goal difference now is exactly the same as City's, so we've got the best goal difference with them in the league, Gyökeres is obviously bringing something because we are winning. Now, of course, we all want him to score. There's just no doubt. We would have loved him to score one of the goals yesterday, just to get that elephant off his back. But and listen to what Arteta's saying as well, and how much he does bring. He made the second. Was it the first goal for Rice? Was it the first? No, the second. I can't. The one that Erdegaard passed to Rice was
Yeah, second.
because of Gyökeres, right? So if we haven't got him there, we may not have scored that goal, and it may have ended up a draw. So I know a lot of people are starting to turn a little bit towards that. They're very, very concerned. I'm not. So that's how I feel, Chris. I mean, he does need to score more, but I think it will come. I do.
Okay. What about Saka?
Mm. Now, Saka's an interesting one. You know how we would have felt last year if he wasn't starting and on the bench. We would have that would have been the first thing we would have all in our WhatsApp group gone, "Oh my God, why is Saka on the bench? Why is he on the bench?" Well, I'll tell you what, I didn't feel like that yesterday with Madawaki. I was quite pleased. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I don't think Saka's been at the races the last month or so. Now, I don't know why. I don't. I, and I mean, of course, I love it. I mean, he made the one of the goals, didn't he? It was a fantastic run from him. I just think maybe this season is not as productive as what he has
Okay.
been. A bit the scoring side of it so much. But but at the moment, it's not mattering because if you are fourth in the league, we'd be sitting here going, right, Saka needs to score. Gyökeres definitely needs to score. We're not. So for me, I'm not worried about Saka. It's funny actually. I think it's since he's got engaged. Since he got engaged and announced it, he hasn't actually played tremendously well. And also, remember something else, both of you. He's never had 1 ounce of competition for that position. Saka would be the first name on the sheet for the right-hand side. But Madawaki made
Yeah,
the first goal.
yeah. I think also the my only concern is he's still very young. Of course, he's got a long career ahead of him still, and I suppose there's things he's kind of has the captain's armband, and there was something I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about kind of England, going into the World Cup, and the fact that there's a leadership group. Kane is the captain, but there's a leadership group around him. And they mentioned three names, and one was Rice and one was Saka. And I thought, God, he's very young to be part of part of the leadership group to lead England into a World Cup. So it maybe he's getting a bit too much responsibility on his shoulders at still a fairly young age. And maybe this is impacting the way he plays. Maybe it's impacting the way he puts himself, I suppose, forward on the pitch as kind of, because he gets the captain's armband if Erdegaard isn't there and stuff. So I don't know if that in his head is making him almost see himself a bit differently. But you're right, he's got competition now from Madueke. And the whole team is, from different areas is chipping in. So it's kind of young in body, old in mind. Interesting one, yeah, possibly. But I'm a little bit concerned because he's the star boy, and hopefully he's going to be with us for another 10 years at least. And it may just be it's that kind of early stage. A lot's happened quickly for him, as I say, part of a leadership group for England, and maybe he just needs to settle down and focus on playing on the right wing for Arsenal.
Okay. It also may not be the engagement so much as the fact that we know his team in the process of the season of negotiations for a mega contract extension to make him highest paid player at the club. People have different thoughts, don't they? We all love him, and maybe he's not so much a star boy anymore as a star man, and he's making that transition over. Because I still want to call him my star boy, but our star boy, but you can really say.
There's a comment there about 7 years. Yeah, I mean, he was in the team. He was in the team when Emery was there. So it's kind of, he was.
And I would also like to point out that as well, Saka just come back from a massive first injury, and I get that. I've got no complaints, nothing at all. I'm just saying that I'm not as distraught if we have Madawaki on. That's what I'm trying to say, Chris. But
Yeah.
leading on to injuries, I just want to pick up on quite a few things that people are now talking about. Erdegaard, Chris. John Rowe said, big up to Erdegaard, who people were doubting. He also makes it easy for Rice. I've got a few other comments I'm just going to put up. Just give me a sec. You know, my IT stuff is light. Ode could have closed down Bournemouth score instead of hanging back, just saying, which is what Carl was showing me yesterday. I think that's because of the injury, if I'm honest. So your views on Erdegaard, I've got no issues. I think he's outstanding and has been, but there is quite a lot of chat to people not saying he has been.
No, everyone that I follow is saying how fantastic his form has been since in the last 3 or 4 matches. We've really seen him step up. I was looking at the Sofa scorings of him, and he's getting sort of 7.9s, 8.1s, whatever it is, out of 10. So he scored against Brighton to open us up. He got an assist yesterday. He's getting about the pitch more. He's taking shots on. He got the assist for Zubimendi against Aston Villa. This is a guy that's actually reaching back into some form. There's a reason why I think Eze hasn't started in the last 3-4 matches, and I think it's because of Erdegaard's sparkling form. In fact, Eze is one of those that's very, very interesting because he's only played like 910 minutes. He's only actually started 11 games this season out of.
We're going to talk
20.
about that, Chris. Do you think, because this is on my list, that Eze's been sort of pushed out slightly because he didn't track back for the Villa goal? He didn't track the player for the Villa goal, because I don't understand why he's not coming on as a sub. That's one of my things to discuss, actually.
Well, I think there's a few things here. Number one is I think Erdegaard's form is keeping Eze out. I think that probably has a reason as to why he lost his place, as in the initially. But I also think there's some game state happening as well. So Arteta is a man that favours continuity. We go 1-0 up against Brighton. We go 2-0 up against Brighton, but it's still tight. And by the time Brighton score their goal, I think if there were certain different game states where we needed to open up a team, I think he'd be used more. If you think about how he was used against Man City, he was brought on against Man City and made the difference. And I think he would be used in that context. But I think the context of the different games, like we were 4-0 up against Aston Villa with 10 minutes to go or whatever it was. There's just no point in. I mean, you could bring him on, but you could actually, there's just other players that you can give minutes to. And so I just think it's more game state than anything else. I think Eze will play. It's just finding that right moment. I wonder if Liverpool might be the opportunity to give him some minutes there, because he rested Saka yesterday. It wouldn't surprise me if he has a think about whether or not he rests perhaps an Erdegaard, or perhaps he even says, do you know what, I'm going to play, I could rest Rice because Rice has got this information. Actually, you can't rest Rice at the moment against Liverpool.
No.
Not against Liverpool,
no.
I don't think you can rest anyone against Liverpool, because unfortunately they're a little bit better than they were at the beginning of the season. But it's also something like Havertz wasn't in the squad, but he said it's just managing the load. So I don't think there's any injuries there, so I'm not panicking on that side. We're going to have that to bring on as well. I say that, our Havertz. I mean, it's getting exciting, isn't it? And we are now first week in January. I just want to touch on a few other things. Mervyn, what do you think on the Waneri situation? Because he's not getting any minutes whatsoever, is he?
No.
Should he go on loan? Sorry, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, the guys I sit with and have known for most of my adult life are fairly vociferous every week. Why isn't Waneri getting on? Why, he's got so much potential. And I don't know if we're managing him in a certain way. I don't know if there's something that happens on the training pitch that we don't see that makes Arteta feel that, he needs a bit more maturity in what he does. I would have thought that loaning him to give him first team football experience would be the kind of move to make. But again, maybe Arteta probably thinks we can win all 4 trophies and we need a squad. And Waneri can come on But I mean, if he's only ever going to come on for the last 10, 15 minutes of games, then he's never really going to build that experience up. So it is. He looks very skillful when he comes on. And I can understand kind of, in training, probably he does well. I would think if we were going to send him on loan to get some experience, kind of, I know Bournemouth have been mentioned, obviously, because they're going to lose Semenyo. I think there'd be the kind of team that he should go to. But I mean, I'm not sure, unless there's something behind the scenes we don't know about that hasn't come out.
Yeah,
it does seem strange.
I think he's just managing him, to be honest, and I don't think we need him at the moment. So,
I mean, Galman's had more pitch time than he has.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he's injured now, isn't he?
Yeah.
So just finishing off with Bournemouth, and then we can talk about Liverpool before we head off. 2 goals, obviously, from Rice, which were lovely. Honestly, you just love him when he kissed the camera. And, he's just such an excitable puppy. I love him so much. But then, we're sitting there at 3-1, Chris, and I, for the first time, going, we can actually enjoy it. Can actually enjoy the last, 10 minutes? I don't even know what it was, 10 minutes, but you knew there was going to be quite a bit of extra time. And we'll get on to the final whistle in a second as well. And then we concede, and it's 3-2, and you're going, oh my God, we cannot draw and win titles. We cannot do that. We have to win this, Chris.
I think we were more worried than the actual players, because, as we've already talked about, so I won't relitigate the conversation, but after the initial couple of minutes after that goal, we pretty much just shut the game down. And I think you have to give respect to the team of their ability to do that. It hasn't felt like that to us. For the Brighton game, it didn't feel like that. But when you relook at the stats and the numbers behind it, Brighton didn't really do anything after they scored their goal against the run of play, and Villa did nothing at all in that second half. And even though they created 2 big chances and scored from one of them, the game was done. So it's a little bit like, whatever. I'm not as worried. Well, I'm worried as a fan, but I have confidence in this team that they are not worried as players, and they just take it in their stride.
But they normally you'd panic though, Chris. I mean, it's like panic stations, maybe more at the Emirates, Mervyn, because we get on their backs, I suppose. But it didn't feel as panicky, that's for sure. So we see the game out at 3-2. We're sitting there going, this is fantastic. Last Christmas wasn't like this, and we're sitting there. And just to let you know that for Villa, we all went 2-1, Chris, me, you and James. And for Bournemouth, you and I went 1, Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 0. And James went 3. And we were sitting there going 3, really, against Bournemouth. But we did. And so we're all feeling a bit more positive, Mervyn, aren't we, coming into the new year? But we have a massive, massive, massive match on Thursday evening where it's going to be about -10 degrees. We're all going to be freezing. Apparently, just to let all of you know, there's going to be another TIFO. So if you are season ticket holders or going to the game, try and get in early. We really need to make the atmosphere as insane as we can do it. So what's your thoughts, Mervyn, on Liverpool? What's your prediction on Liverpool? I'm also going to ask you about Portsmouth as well quickly, but also, would you make any changes?
I can't think of an obvious change to make against Liverpool, but then I don't know if someone's carrying a niggle or something. And I think that I suppose one of the big questions against Liverpool, I mean, the defence at the moment picks itself, I would say. I mean, I can't see any point in bringing somebody else in.
Calafiori?
If he's fit, okay. If he's fit, yes. But I got the impression he'd be out for a couple of weeks yet, but perhaps not. That would be the only one. I suspect against Liverpool we'll start with Saka. We won't start with Madueke. And I think that I'm seeing the comments you're highlighting there. Trossard start over Martinelli, probably.
Yeah, because that's the only change I would make would be Trossard to start, because these two are just impact subs. I know everyone disagrees, but I do feel like that. Although Trossard is far superior this season. Sorry, Mervyn, go on.
Yeah, no. I think that. I mean, I'm feeling quite confident. Maybe not quite as confident as your Carl at 4-2, but I'm feeling confident, and I think that. Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting us to win because Liverpool have been a little bit kind of erratic this season. They've lost games you wouldn't expect them to lose, but then they've won games that you thought they might not. But something doesn't seem 100% right there. And I don't know if it's because they're trying to. They did quite a few signings, and they put, they put the family silver on Isaac, who's now injured. So it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, I think that's I'm relatively confident going along on Thursday nights that we will win. I think that there will be a bit more pressure on us, but I think that I mean I'm confident, and I think that Liverpool have players who can hurt us, obviously.
So what's your prediction then for Liverpool?
My prediction, I'm going for a 2-1 win.
That's what I have as well. What's your prediction, Chris? And then when you can tell me what you think about the team.
I think it's the same. I think it's the same because we're not a high scoring team. The Villa game aside, we're not really a high scoring team, are we? I think we'll be cagey because even though Liverpool haven't been great, I think it'll be cagey. I think it will be similar to the game at Anfield in that they'll try and nullify us and we'll start slowly. The thing is that Liverpool, then the natives are restless in Liverpool because their recent results, like they play Fulham today at the time of us speaking. They drew with Leeds 0-0. They weren't happy with that. They weren't happy with beating Wolves 2-1 because they were very much of the view that they should have given them a spanking. They weren't happy with the Tottenham game because Tottenham were down to 10 men quite early on, and Liverpool huffed and puffed there to get their 2-1 win. They beat Brighton 2-0. They also got the 3-3 against Leeds. This was going back to the beginning of December. So their results haven't been amazing. They've been patchy in places, and I don't think Liverpool fans are 100% happy with the way in which the team are playing. They've lost Isak. They won't have Salah, but they do have Ekitike. If you keep Ekitike quiet, then I'd fancy us. But they will create chances, and I don't think we'll go without conceding.
No, I don't. So we're all going 2-1, are we?
Yeah.
Portsmouth will meet. I think will be massive changes. I've gone 2-0 away. So Mervyn.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, you're Chris. Me and you keep predicting the same, right?
Well, I've got to do some. Well, I can't do the same as you, so I'll go 3-1 away because I think that we'll get players starting against Portsmouth who are going to be wanting to impress.
Hungry. Sorry, there was something I just wanted to touch on, which was part of the Bournemouth game that I didn't realise. So, at 96 minutes, the Bournemouth players went off their heads that he blew the whistle. I wasn't aware because I tweeted straight away and said, why are they kicking off? It's 96 minutes. Then someone explained to me that normally in an attacking phase, you have to let that play out. Okay. So
you don't have to let that play out.
Well, it seems that that's the thing that referees are told to do. However, when you watch it, and this is something that I just saw on Match of the Day, is the ball comes in and we head it out. Just because it goes to their player, that's the phase done. It's headed out. So you can't keep playing because it could have kept being headed out, then it could have gone for a corner. It was over 96 minutes, and it was just something that I'd had written down.
This is exactly
realise that. Yeah.
When is an attacking? That's really subjective, right, Amanda? It's like when is an attacking phase an attacking phase? Oh, the ball's in your defensive third of the pitch, so that's still an attacking phase. It doesn't matter that we're just standing on the ball, not doing anything with it. This isn't rugby, guys. Like you don't play until the ball goes out of play.
Exactly, and I think that they'd not realised that we'd headed it out. It was over 96 minutes, but it wasn't that. He did that to Ødegaard in the first half. We were attacking and he blew the whistle. Do you remember we were going shoot, and he just didn't, went round, and then he blew up and we were all like, oh, Ødegaard, you should have had a shot. But it was so weird. I didn't know why they were screaming at the ref like that. Anyway, sorry, it was just something I wanted to mention because I didn't realise that. So just a couple of things that we've got here Simon said Bournemouth had only conceded 6 Premier League games at home until yesterday, third best in the league after us and City. Not the easy game that many were predicting, which is true. That makes it even better. And do you know what, people, as well? I'm going to tell you this now. Over the years, because I've watched it like Mervyn, through the 80s, through the 90s, it's all about winning. Yet we are not going to have magical displays where every player is going to get 10 out of 10. It's about getting the job done and getting back to the Emirates for the next game. Because obviously some of the football isn't great. Look at the first half against Villa, the first half against Bournemouth, but it really is now just about winning, and that's what we've got to do. Anything else anyone wants to talk about? I think we've spoken about the fact over the games of pods, haven't we, Chris, that inspired substitution impacts subs. And I'll tell you what was lovely yesterday, touch wood, no injuries. It's the first match that we haven't had anyone break down before they came out on the pitch. Anyone break down on the pitch that had to be substituted, Mervyn. It was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It made a nice change. And it means that, again, we've got fresh players that can be called upon kind of in the busy period. As we say, I think the Portsmouth game is when we'll see a few. And yeah, I mean, it's, we've got a very strong squad. And I think that, part of the stuff, we were talking about Eze and Madueke and stuff, it is because we've got this squad now. And it's not that obvious about, okay, well, he had a poor game, put him in. It's kind of, we're top, we're winning. There's a great spirit inside. I doubt any players want to be left out.
Lovely, isn't it? Absolutely.
What was the new chant? What was the new chant for Declan?
Declan Rice in red and white. I like it. In that's the way.
Okay.
Declan Rice in red and white. I like it.
Oh, okay. It didn't come through on my set.
It's. I do you know what? I think he's good. He's not one of the best ones. I think Havertz's song, and I love Yokeres's song, and Eze's song. I love.
The
It's
Saliba
okay, but it's sorry.
The Saliba one, when that first came out at Bournemouth, was iconic.
Yeah, I don't think this is iconic, but if we do need a song for him, though, don't we? Right. I've just uploaded some. Well, Chris has uploaded some stats and things. Hold on a second. Is it that one, Chris?
Yeah.
Just very quickly, Arteta's antics and in the technical area across the line. It's just an article by Martin Samuels today. Listen, we're all biased, aren't we? We love Arteta. I don't have an issue with it, and I have to be honest. I didn't have an issue with. Sorry, 1 second, because I don't want doing. Chris, can you take it off? Sorry, so we can see Mervyn. I don't know how you take it off. I'm so good with IT on this, honestly. And that's the next one we were going to talk about. I don't have a problem with managers being passionate. I don't care if they come out their box. I didn't mind it when Jurgen Klopp was like that. I didn't have an issue with Jurgen Klopp one bit. But it just seems that the narrative against Arsenal is they just don't like us, which I don't care.
Without kind of, Martin Samuels is usually fairly negative about Arsenal over the years. But yeah, I would say that fans I know of other clubs all moan about Arteta and his antics. And I just say, we love him. We love him. He's, he played for the club. He gave his heart for the club. And it's kind of, it's just, and I think that annoys that we're doing well. And I think they get angry because we actually love the manager. Unlike the lot down the road, who I believe the other night were chanting how boring their side was during the game.
I know. We love Arteta and everything. And could you just put that Albinio stat up for me, Chris? You're probably better at doing things like this than me. Right, Albinio, who we all love. Arsenal are now 15 points better off than last season in terms of their 20 equivalent fixtures to date. More scope for improvement in the next 2 games. 15 points better off, boys. Does that not just sum it up?
One final point from me. We talk a lot about Man City free scoring and the goals that they scored. They've only scored 3 goals more than us this season, although obviously they played today. But equally, we talk about how amazing our defence is and how City are a little bit leaky. They've only conceded 3 goals more than us. So it's really interesting that there's a lot. Both teams, from a scoring and from a defensive point of view, are a lot closer to each other than you think. Let's hope for a 0-0 draw today, or a 1-0, 2-0 Chelsea win. Yeah.
We want Chelsea to score 8 today, for God's sake.
Amanda,
Absolutely.
let's live in the world of reality. Chelsea are getting beat today.
Yeah, I know. To be honest, you just have to. We have to worry about ourselves, Chris, because City are one of those teams. Although Sunderland, I was shocked that they did so well, considering 4 or 5 of their players have gone off to the AFCON. I was sitting there convinced. I said to Carl, "Forget it. I'm not even going to watch it." I watched 5 minutes, saw them score an offside goal, and went, "Oh, I'm just not going to watch." So I was really impressed with that. So, as we've never said on this podcast before, come on, Chelsea, up the Blues. See if you can actually just get a point. We'd be happy with that, wouldn't we, boys?
We sure would.
Right, everyone. Thank you so much for all your comments and all your questions and everything. Happy New Year to all of you and everyone on audio as well. We really appreciate you listening. If you could subscribe, then press the bell. You will never miss a show. We will be back some point next weekend, maybe post Portsmouth. But I'd like to say a big, massive thanks to Mervyn for joining us, who we always love having on this show.
And I always enjoy joining the show.
Oh, that's lovely. A voice of calm and reason. That's what I like to say. Everybody, go and support Chelsea for 90 minutes. Enjoy your Sunday. We are top of the leagues. Do not worry about Gyökeres not scoring. Do not worry about anything. We are doing really well. Enjoy it. And we'll all be at the Emirates screaming Thursday evening. So from us to you, have a wonderful Sunday. And remember, always Arsenal.
Bye.